Gamers! Yeah, it's pretty good to see the turnout here, considering it's just a grassroots effort with no mainstream media coverage. What have we got, about 80 people and a bell. Okay, so for those who don't know, my name is Ethan Watson. Now, not only am I a game player like yourself, but I'm also a professional game developer. I am a programmer with 7 years industry experience. I have programmed game side code, I have programmed engine side code. I have programmed games based on original concepts and licenses such as Star Wars. I have worked on titles that have sold millions of copies and titles that haven't really sold anything at all. Now, I was recently made redundant from my job, and now I have a job on the retail side of games. And as a result, I've actually managed to sell some of the games that are being credited on to the general public, which is giving me a bit of a different perspective. You know, I've now experienced all areas of the industry. Now, I don't actually plan on staying in retail. What I really want to do is I want to start my own games company. And with this company, I want to make games that would be aimed at adults. I want to make games that have adult themes and adult concepts that adults will understand. Unfortunately, standing in the way of my dreams here are the current classification laws. As everybody here is aware, there is no such thing as an R18 rating for video games. And I'm sure we're all annoyed at it. So I certainly am. Now, because my games will contain adult content, this means that they will most likely be refused classification. Now, it would actually be good to be able to sell the games I make to people in my home country. You know, I don't want to exclusively sell it to people overseas, but, yeah. The, classification system is a bit of an odd beast in Australia. The Classification Act starts at the Commonwealth level. This is where categories for print media, movies, and video games are defined with their rating categories. For books, we have unrestricted, we have category 1 and 2 restricted, and we have refused classification. For movies, we have exempted classification, we have G ratings, PG ratings, M ratings, MA ratings, R ratings, and X ratings. For video games, it is a completely different category altogether. It has G, it has PG, it has M, and it has MA. It does not actually have the distinction of having an adult category restriction in place. As a result, the only games that you're allowed to buy are those that are restricted to those people who are 15 years or older. And yeah, that basically means that games that are actually meant for adults on a worldwide scale are modified trivially to be able to be sold to people 15 years and over in Australia. Now, this is a bit silly. As you all know, you're all kids. A lot of you are kids within the last 10, 20 years, just like me. You can't wait to be an adult when you grow up. But with the game's classification system, you grow up and you realise, hey, I already was treated like an adult because we're all being treated like children. Now, on top of the state classification laws, the federal classification laws, we have state classification laws. Each state and the Northern Territory runs its own laws in conjunction and without contradiction to the federal laws. And I've read through the laws and there's a little bit of ridiculous stuff in there. For example, Western Australia is currently the only state that criminalises possession of refused classification material. It's not actually illegal to own this material in another state, it's just illegal to sell and distribute it. Queensland also has a ban on Category 1 and 2 restricted books. Now, some of you may be aware of a petition that is being sponsored by the Honourable Kate Jones, Member of Parliament for Astro, for the introduction of R18 games into Queensland. And I find this a bit ironic, considering that books are still banned. But why are we only worrying about getting one area of the law fixed when there's still bans from the early 90s on other materials? We should be looking at overhauling the entire system and not just various little sections of it. Now, there's also another law, actually, that I found recently in Queensland law, that anybody attempting to make a commercial game that was likely to be refused classification has committed an offence and can be fined or jailed. This means that I can't even make the games I want to make in Queensland. I've got to move states or, maybe even move country. That might work out better for me. But I'd rather do none of those. I'd rather just make the games here, stimulate the local economy, make a name for Australia on the game scene, because so far all we've been doing is licenses. Haven't really made much of a name for ourselves. Now, there is another anomaly. Now, I want to raise your attention to something. There are actually video games that are restricted to adults that everybody here right now can go out and play without being arrested, without being frowned upon, without any negative consequences, except for a lower bank account. I am talking about pokie. These machines are, by all definition, video games. In fact, video game publishers such as Konami develop some of these poker machines that you can go into your casino or your pub and play. Now, this is a bit silly. I mean, what message is the government trying to send here? That it's all right to spend money and play adult games if they're going to get a healthy revenue stream out of it, if it can be taxed to oblivion? Seems a bit ridiculous to me. Alright. So, as I've mentioned, I can't actually make the game that I want to make because I'll probably be fined or arrested for it. But I don't know, what do you guys reckon? Should I, just give up, sell my soul and write gambling software for a living? No? No, didn't think so. Rather, I think I, just like everybody here, should fight for our right to play and make games that are aimed at adults and not children. Now, interactive media is an emerging art form, and in my opinion, it has a greater potential for artistic expression than any other medium that mankind has created so far. I mean, they say, art is about what you get out of it. Interactive media has the potential to completely change the meaning of that phrase. Now, we still have a long way to go before, we realise the full potential of the medium. But we can't really get there in this country if we have these laws in the way. It's stopping people from making games and stopping people from experiencing them. Now, the entire classification system is fairly inconsistent in terms of the standards that applies to each form of media. Now, many people here are familiar with a work called Requiem for a Dream. Yep, cool, quite a few of you. Requiem for a Dream was a novel written by Hubert Selby Jr. in 1978. It is classified as unrestricted material. Any, 10-year-old, for example, if you wanted to, could go into a bookstore, buy it, read it. Probably not understand it, but it goes without saying. You can actually go and buy and experience the media without breaking the law. Now, in 2000, Darren Aronofsky directed a film adaptation for it that was very critically acclaimed and is considered as one of the more important movies of this decade. In Australia, this movie was rated R18. That makes it restricted to adults. Same content as the book, it's just on the screen. Alright, for adults. The book's for everyone. Okay, if you insist, I don't agree. But let's just take a look. What would happen if you tried to make an interactive version of Requiem for a Dream? There is a lot of adult content in there. And for example, the main characters, 3 of them are addicted to heroin. One of them is an old lady who is addicted to diet pills because she wants to get onto a TV show. Now, as an interactive medium, there are many, many more sophisticated ways you can show this than you can show on screen. Or